Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my dream world. So, hi, if you're new to this channel, my name's Karina, and I love covering shows. And in this case, we are covering Dancing with the Stars season 34. Now, I am not a ballroom dancer, and I think that's actually why this video is quite late. So, apologies for that and the people who have been following this series. But I do like to cover my bases, listen to all the podcasts. Like I've been listening to Danielle Fishel's podcast and Sharna's part of that podcast as well to get more intel on things that I don't know, such as ballroom technique, because at the end of the day, I'm just a casual viewer. I've been watching the show since about season 30, so I thought it would be fun to finally actually cover the show on my channel. But just know that this is basically off of primarily performance, how much I enjoy the celebs' journeys rather than based on technique. But let's just have fun. And if you disagree with me because you have ballroom experience or because you're a dancer, please feel free to share in the comments. All I ask is that you do be kind, because at the end of the day, this is just for fun. So with that being said, since I've delayed y'all far enough, I will hop right into the show's recap. For this recap, since each celeb did two dances, I'm actually going to cover both of their dances back to back rather than go in running order, just because I like to focus on each celeb's individual journey as much as I do like, oh, who should win, who are my favorites. But it's also about, like, now that we're at the finale, each person's individual process throughout this entire season. So yeah, first up we have Elaine. This week she did a foxtrot, which was her redo dance, and a paso doble, which was her new dance. And first of all, I have to say, I really don't like that they made her go first twice in a row, because, I don't know, that just feels kind of like they're having her be the one that sets the bar, and usually the person that goes first either, like, is a crowd pleaser or gets jinxed. But at this point in the show, I'm kind of like, dang, like, really? We're putting her first twice in a row? Like, if you're a long-time watcher of the show, you might understand what I'm saying, because I've heard multiple people talk about the earlier positions are, like, iffier than the later ones. But with that aside, she did her redo foxtrot first, which I get why she did that. There are some redo dances this episode that I was kind of like, really? We're doing a redo of this? Given the theme night, though. Like, I know the theme night was probably restricting, and I will get into that. But let's focus back on Elaine. The dance was beautiful, well executed, but it didn't really stand out to me amongst the other dances and her paso, like, compared to her other things. Because, I actually think I may have preferred her first one, and that one was pretty underscored, in my opinion. Like, I know some people said, like, oh, it's fairly scored, but I felt like it was underscored in comparison to other dances that week. But I do think the scores for this one were fair. At first, and this was before I listened to Sharna's podcast, I was kind of like, if there was nothing wrong with the dance and they're telling her that, like, she makes things look so easy, why aren't we giving her a 10? That, like, didn't make sense to me. But, and I also, it did kind of confuse me, because they were saying, like, oh, we want more attack, and I was like, well, why would you want attack in a foxtrot? That's a more elegant dance. But, like, once I listened to Sharna's podcast, she kind of explained it, which made me understand, like, oh, okay, they were talking about a different kind of attack, which is a technical thing, I'll admit. Like, I don't understand it. But in all seriousness, I thought the dance was good. It just didn't stand out. And, like, foxtrot is one of my favorite styles. It's my favorite of the standard ballroom styles. It wasn't my favorite from Elaine, so I wasn't mad at the nines, but it was still a good dance. Like, some people were saying, like, no, that was a bad dance, and I was like, dang, y'all, like, you're being kind of harsh. But I get it. It's semifinals, so we're starting to get a little pickier. This just wasn't my favorite from Elaine, but I still enjoyed the dance. Now, her paso, on the other hand, I really enjoyed, because we've seen a lot of, like, we've kind of seen Elaine be very graceful, and she's very good at projecting joy, at least in my opinion. She's been one of my favorites to watch, by the way. So her showing a more of the fierce side of her was wonderful. I absolutely loved it. There was a ferocity to her that I haven't seen yet. Like, Paso is one of those dances where I do see people get winded. It's that one in the jive. Like, I repeatedly see it is the dance that maybe, like, wins people. And I mean, like, when I say winded, I mean even Charlie D'Amelio got winded during her paso, and she admitted she almost threw up after doing it. So, like, I know the paso takes a lot of stamina, much like the jive. So with Elaine's injuries, and, you know, she is the oldest one remaining. I think everybody else is like 20s or early 30s. I don't know how old Dylan is, but Alex, Robert, and Jordan are all in their 20s. So I'm like, you know, they do have more stamina than she does. On top of her injuries, I was like, ooh, a paso could be a little bit difficult for her, but she did it, and I think she nailed it. I absolutely loved it. Like I said, she has been one of my favorites to watch this season, and I'm so, so happy that she made the finale. A lot of people, you know, loved Andy because he brought them joy, and while I do love Andy, I would say that for me, that was Elaine. She has brought me joy throughout this whole season, and I've loved her journey. She earned that spot in her finale. I am so, so happy for her. I really don't care, because I've seen some people say, like, oh, she didn't deserve to be there. I disagree. I think since I've been watching, keep in mind it has been only since season 30, this is my favorite partnership for Alan. I loved Ilona last year, but I just have absolutely adored Elaine's journey throughout this show, and I'm rooting for her to do well in the finale. Like, her W is that she made the finale. She made the finale. That is her W, because a lot of people predicted she's going to be maybe an early boot, middle of the pack, but no. Her charisma, her determination, her dance skill, like, it has really got people on her side. And also, like, it doesn't hurt that she's with Alan, because a lot of people love Alan. But seeing Danielle Fishel tearing up in the audience for her, that was my face. Like, I am so excited that she made the finale. Okay, next up, I will talk about Alex. This week she did an Argentine tango end of Viennese waltz, which was her redo dance. And I have to say, first of all, she won in terms of the wardrobe department tonight, because both of her costumes were absolutely stunning. She started with the Argentine tango, which was her new dance. And while I do think this dance was very good, like, it was very, you know, well executed, it wasn't my favorite performance from her. I absolutely loved her foxtrot from last week. It was so well executed, but also, like, animated and fun, and she really, like, set the mood of the dance along with executing it really, really well. But with this one, I didn't see that performance value. I don't know if it's because maybe she was tired because she did 2 dances instead of 1 this week, though that has been kind of a thing for the past few weeks. But I just didn't see the, like, animation and the, like, tone of the dance that I've been seeing her from the past few weeks. So it wasn't my favorite. And I could kind of tell she wasn't as comfortable with a more, like, Latin social dance than she was with her Viennese waltz, which we'll get into in a minute. Like, her tango, her foxtrot, standard ballroom. Like, the only Latin dance she's done that's really stood out to me is her paso. Because she did her cha-cha and her jive very early. And Argentine tango is also, like, a different type of Latin from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, yeah, this wasn't my favorite of hers. Like, it was still good. It just wasn't my favorite. But I do agree that she is one of, if not the most improved this season. And I would say now with the elimination that happened this week that she is the best or top 2 dancers left in the competition. They did kind of talk about her passion. Yeah, it's very good. I just didn't see the performance quality from her that I usually do, and it's not one of my favorites of hers. However, once again, like, and this went from pretty much every celeb except for Robert, her second dance was so much stronger. This was her repeat dance. She shines in ballroom. Her first Viennese waltz is what actually, like, drew me to her, because in the first couple weeks I was kind of like, like, she's whatever, because she came in with dance experience, right? Like, let's call it like it is. She did. So when she did that cha-cha, I was kind of like, oh, you know, I've seen better from people who come in with dance experience. So I was kind of whatever about her. But TikTok night, she did a really fun quick step, and then she did her Maleficent Viennese waltz, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I knew fan base wise she was already a contender, but that's when I was like, dang, she is gunning for that mirror ball, and she's kind of been killing it ever since then. I will say, I do still think I preferred her Foxtrot from last week. One, like I said, Foxtrot is one of my favorite standard ballroom styles, and I loved the way she performed it, like Singing in the Rain. She had such a great mood for that. But while this one, her Viennese Waltz this week was also very beautiful, her movement quality was great. And I don't know if it's my top favorite from her, but it was definitely like really, really well executed. I think it deserved the scores it got. And considering the momentum she's had throughout this season and her fan support, she's the only one that I could see potentially being an upset victor this season. And I do respect how much she's dedicated to the process. We'll see how she does in the finale. I know she's decided to challenge herself with the samba, which I do respect, but I'm also like, ooh, that is a risk that could either pay off or not. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm looking forward because I love sambas and we've barely had any this season. So yeah, Alex, I think she's definitely gonna be a contender. She's gonna be top 2, y'all. I'm gonna be real. I do believe she is gonna be top 2 this season, so we'll see. Next, I want to talk about Whitney, and I'm gonna address the elephant in the room about her later and simply focus on her dancing for now. Her first dance was her redo dance, which was a cha-cha-cha, and it was definitely better than the first one, because the first one had some messiness to it. I would have to go back and rewatch to really compare, but I do remember it being much sloppier than this one. This one felt much sharper, more in control, and had a lot of content in it. And while I did enjoy it, and I didn't really see like she was over focusing, I was kind of like, like it wasn't my favorite from her either. And so while I did kind of like, I didn't fully agree with Carrie Ann's comments, by the way, but I did think it was very rude when Derek told Carrie Ann that she was out of her mind, and then Alfonso saying like, oh, she's gonna need security after that. Like, it's okay to disagree. In fact, I think it is good for the judges to validate different perspectives on the dance, because, you know, they all come from different sides of the dance world, so it's not like I'm mad that he disagrees with her. But Carrie Ann already gets so much heat from the entire fandom, and like, I am not usually a Carrie Ann defender. I have my issues with Carrie Ann. I've called them out, and I'm gonna call them out again this episode. But I really didn't like how Derek kind of piled onto her this week. And he did it again during her next dance, which I'll get into in a second. Like, again, I'm not technique trained, and so Carrie Ann's 9, like, I wasn't angry at it, and I did prefer Whitney's other dance. But I did think it was definitely an improvement from her week 2 dance. Now, her Viennese waltz was beautiful, and I think that was my favorite dance of the night. Like, now that I've sat on it for a little bit, I do think her Viennese waltz was my favorite dance of the night. People are going to disagree with me. I don't care. I have seen some comments saying, like, all her dances look the same, and I do kind of understand where that comment comes from. The softest dance she seemed to do, other than her contemporary, which is, like, completely different style, was her tango. That was more of, like, an elegant, soft, like, it wasn't even soft, but it was, you know, less fierce and bubbly, because like she's been very like sharp and animated this season. So I do kind of understand, because pretty much all of her dances have been very upbeat and showy. So like, I get why people were like, I wanted it to be more like a very soft, sweet, elegant dance. But personally for me, I love the elegance with a bit of like a musical element, and like that's one thing I really love about the Foxtrot. Like, we saw Alex's was also like very elegant but super upbeat last week. That's kind of how I felt about this dance too. And even though that's a Foxtrot, this is a Viennese waltz, it's different. I do kind of love that they added a little like sweet musicalness to it. Mark is one of my favorite pros, if you can't tell. I just love the way he choreographs things. But once again, I don't like that Derek called Carrie-Anne crazy for making that remark. Like when she said that there were 2 hops. And even though I loved this dance, Derek, I saw the hop. The non-trained dancer, an average viewer who was mostly just watching the show for fun, saw the hop. I don't remember if I saw both hops, but one was pretty obvious. And I will say that, like, had it not been pointed out, maybe I wouldn't have noticed, but it was there, and it happened, and it bugs me that he was kind of like, you're crazy. So yeah, I'm not really vibing with Derek this season, to be completely honest. Like, I will talk about it more in the full season review. But while it does, I will say it does bug me, though, that Carrie-Anne docked Whitney a point for a hop, but didn't dock it for, like, a whole lift in Robert's Foxtrot last week. I just really did not like Derek's comments to her. I thought they were inappropriate and unprofessional, and I'm glad that people are kind of, like, you know, Derek was kind of immune to criticism before this, so I'm glad people are finally calling him out. I'll get into this when I do my full season review, but yeah, his judging has been bugging me this season. Okay, next I want to talk about Dylan. Without mentioning the other very big elephant in the room, I'll admit this. I want to focus on Dylan. I've been quite hard on him compared to some of the other contestants. And I think that's because I don't find myself connecting to him like I do to the rest of the contestants at this point in this season. And now that we're like semifinals onto the finals, I am going to be honest about where I have people kind of ranked personally. His tango was, he did a tango for the first time, and he did a good job, but like out of all the rest of the dances this night, it just wasn't my favorite. Sharna explained that his frame was a little off, and that is something I have noticed in a lot of his dances, which I don't love. Like, he just looks kind of awkward. And I felt that while like his chemistry with Daniela is good, their lack of dynamics, like in the dancing department, has been apparent in a lot of their dances. Like, it's mostly her doing the content. And I do feel like this is another one where that was apparent. Now, his cha-cha-cha is what really showed some improvement for me. Obviously, cha-cha-cha, I believe, was his week 1 dance. So it obviously was not gonna be as good as he is now. And especially because he came in with absolutely no dance experience. But, you know, it was a pretty weak first dance. So seeing him do it again and at a much higher level makes me happy. And I'm going to give him props for this because he did a lot of content. He did it a lot cleaner than he did in week 1. Like, that, this is a dance where we did see clear improvement. And I do appreciate that Danny is really getting him to do that technique. Like, you can see that he's been working on it. It really showed for me in the section he did alongside the other pros. He was actually doing the content. Definitely not the strongest dance of the night, and I don't know if it's my favorite from his in terms of like rewatchability and preference, but it did make me appreciate his journey on the show a lot more because he has improved a lot. And while my picks for the finale may have been different than what they turned out to be, I don't think that Dylan is undeserving in the sense that, like, no, he shouldn't have been in the finale. That's not how I feel. Like, could I have picked somebody else? Yes. But I'm not mad that he's there. I'm happy for him. And I do think he may have a chance at placing higher because a lot of people are saying, like, oh yeah, he's going to be 5th place. I don't know about that. I think 3rd through 5th is going to be the most interesting part of this season, to be completely honest, because top 2 are Robert and Alex, duh. And then 3, 4, and 5, it's like, who's going to land where? We'll see next. Well, actually, only in like 3 days once this video is up, but we'll see. Oh, Jordan. If you've been watching this series, you'd know that Jordan isn't the other one that I've been rooting for alongside Elaine. Her redo dance was the jive. I say this with love and honesty. I didn't love this dance. Because while this one may have been a little cleaner, her first jive was so much more memorable and upbeat, and like I felt like I connected to the content more, that this one just felt underwhelming. Like, I liked it, but I get why she didn't get 10s, and Sharna said like her feet in both dances she did were not great. So, that's a technical flaw, keeps you from a 10 in my book and in most people's books. But once again, though, the critique kind of bugs me because I'm like, why would you tell her that it was your favorite dance or like the best dance of the night, but then go like, yeah, but you did make a mistake, so I can't give you a perfect score. It's like, okay, why did you even say that? Because you've given other dances, like, I don't know if they had, actually, I take that back. I don't know if Carrie Ann had given anyone a 10 yet by this point. But it just kind of irked me that that's the way she phrased it. Because it was like, why, like, it feels counterintuitive to me. And that's annoying. But I do love that Jordan took that like a champ. She's very good at taking feedback. And, that points to her work ethic. And that's what I love about her. And then her round 2 dance, which was her, like, she hasn't done an Argentine tango yet. That I enjoyed. Because it was so complex. It had some really good tricks in it. Still a lot of content without being too trick heavy, and she did a lot of really complicated, is it flicks? I could be wrong, but like her footwork, I know we said there were problems with her feet, like she wasn't pointing her toes, but I just really enjoyed like her movement quality in this dance. And even if it wasn't her best dance, I am so happy that she got a perfect score after, in my opinion, not getting one for her jazz and her rumba. And even more so, like, I am so happy that she got into the finale. She's one that I've been rooting for super hard since day one. I've been a fan prior, so her making the finale along with Elaine is my personal W of the season. Like, at this point, I'm like, they get the full journey. That's all that matters to me. I don't care who wins at this point. They get to do all of the dances, and that makes me so happy. And last but certainly not least is Robert. So, I do have some thoughts about Robert doing a third jibe this season, which I will get into in a minute, but I do truly think that this man is built for the jibe. His first dance was great, but, was very trick heavy and could have had more, like, actual content. So I did very much enjoy this redo because it had more jibe content and much more advanced and cleaner, in my opinion. I love watching him. I don't know how many feathers I'm going to ruffle, but I did say that Whitney's Vinnie's Waltz was my favorite dance of the night. So that puts this one in like my second, I would say my second favorite, maybe. And again, I hope I don't ruffle too many feathers with that. I still love the man, but we all have our preferences. Again, I'm not a technique person, so I listened to Sharna's podcast to hear an expert critique, and she did mention that, like, there were some, like, technical issues that were there, but because he's a beginner, that she would have given it a 10, and I'm not disagreeing because it was really fun to watch. It's just weird. It's in a position where I feel like people are either overhyping his dance or being overly critical. So I'm like, I don't want to sound like I'm glazing or underrating him, because like some people are gonna say you're bullying him. I'm not bullying Robert. I love him. I would never bully him. I don't believe in bullying people for being on this show, but I do think it was the better jive of the night. And then his next dance was a Viennese waltz. Like I said, I do love like the softer version of this style, and this one felt like sharper and more dramatic because of the song choice. But, like, that didn't bug me because, like I said about Whitney's, I like more musical versions of dances because maybe it's the theater kid in me. I don't know. But, it was just, this whole music thing is weird to me. But there was a moment in his Viennese waltz where I do think he made kind of an odd movement with his back. I don't know if it was his back or, like, his frame. But he did, like, a weird movement with his back at one point. And Sharna did point out that his frame was a little off. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but it was kind of towards the end before Whitney did that floor work. But I still liked it. I didn't like it as much as his jive, but it was a pretty solid dance for him. But yeah, Robert kind of killed it tonight. Again, I think it's between him and Alex. It's really like who's going to get the votes because their scores are so close, and we don't know how they'll deal with the 3 dances in the finale, so we'll see. But I do have high hopes for his freestyle, so we'll see what happens. So now, of course, we get to the elimination. I'm gonna be honest, I have very mixed feelings about this week's elimination, which is one reason why I wanted to sit on it a little bit before recording this video. Because on one hand, I am absolutely elated that both Elaine and Jordan made the finale. It makes me so happy. I've been rooting for them since the beginning. I've connected to both of their journeys so much, and I was worried for the past few weeks that one or even both of them would get eliminated, but they both made it to the end of the road. That's like I said, that's my W for the season. And since, I'm pretty sure our top two are predetermined, them getting to do the whole journey, that's my W. But I will admit that I'm disappointed Whitney didn't make the finale. I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed. I'm not, like I've said this in my videos, I'm not a huge fan of her, but I did love her dancing, and Mark is one of my favorite pros. So yes, I would have loved to see them perform in the finale. I would have loved to see their freestyle because I know it would have been fantastic. The hate that this woman is getting feels extremely excessive, to the point where, like, I almost considered voting for her the same way I was writing for Jordan and Elaine, because I was getting so sick of the Whitney hate. I'm like, y'all, if you do not like this woman, just don't vote for her. It is not that hard. That's what I did. Like, she was never going to win because even without the hate, I would have said she wouldn't have beat Robert or Alex. Their fan bases are too big. But now we're missing out on a Mark freestyle because y'all just did not like this woman. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to like her. I just think that, like, the hate was seriously excessive because, again, we do not know these people. I know she's done stuff online that I didn't like, and that's why I didn't vote for her. And you can call that out, but it's like, we get it. Y'all hate Whitney, okay? Clearly, she didn't have the votes. But, yeah, we're missing out on a Mark freestyle, and that makes me sad. That being said, I'm otherwise not unhappy with this final five. This isn't shade to, like, I don't think anyone who is in the top five, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, so-and-so should have been there, or so-and-so should have been eliminated instead of Whitney. Because at this point, it's like, we're at the end of the road. It does come down to preference in a lot of ways. But I really wish we got to see their freestyle, so I am disappointed that she's not in the finale. Okay, so overall, as much as I love and respect Prince's music, I hate that the semifinals were a theme night this season. Like, I really did not like that. I feel like at this point in the competition, I would rather see, like, traditional standard Latin and ballroom, because that would really show how far everyone has come. And having such a specific theme night really hinders the styles that can be performed. Like, a lot of people, and I'll get into this in a minute, were complaining about Robert doing a jive, but it's like, what other dances could he have feasibly done? Because they had to redo one and then do a new one. So it's like, okay, what other options did he have? And if we go through them, there weren't as many. So they went with his strongest style, and I feel like that kind of makes sense because they need those points. I don't love that he did a third jive, but, like, I get it because the styles were so limited. And but I do also feel like the songs being so specific had a negative impact on a lot of the dances for this week, because it was like the song just doesn't fit the mood of the dance, and it's like, ugh. But yeah, I didn't love that the semifinals were the theme night. I don't think it should have been that way. And I kind of hated that they did a redo concept compared to a redemption, because the press release was like, oh, they're going to redo a dance to show their growth and improvement, but it's like, some people did styles which they did well with beforehand, while others actually did a redemption dance. So that's why I was kind of like, okay, is it about growth, or is it because y'all couldn't find the styles, like, find the songs to fit the styles like you wanted to, so you changed the rule? That's kind of how it felt like for me. So, like, again, if Robert was to do a redemption dance, it would likely be his cha-cha-cha. And a huge reason for this, I believe to be, is that the song sucked, because it was that Zootopia song. Like, I mean, I love that song, but it doesn't work for the cha-cha-cha. Like Whitney was saying, like, I hated that song. I hated working with that song. I do think it was Robert's worst dance. And he could have showed improvement by doing a cha-cha-cha to a classic cha-cha-cha song. And while hip action isn't Robert's strength, it would have been an opportunity to see him take on a challenge and show that he has grown rather than do a third jive this season. So that's just another reason why I'm like, really? Like, what did we... I don't like the theme night, because I feel like that's what ruined it. And Alex redid a Viennese waltz. I feel like her Maleficent dance was actually one of my favorites of hers. So I was like, if she did an actual redemption dance, she too would probably also be doing a cha-cha-cha. And so it was just like, like, man, I would have rather seen them do true redemption dances. But, you know, it's whatever. It is what it is. As for the finale, I saw the press release and I'm super excited. I love the freestyle song choices, and I'm super curious to see how the judges' choice worked, because Val was saying, like, Alex chose to do a samba over a slow waltz. So I'm like, wait, so she chose, or did the judges make her choose between two? I don't know. I do respect her for doing that, though, because it's like, if she did a slow waltz, like, come on, she just did a Viennese waltz, and obviously they're different styles, but it'll be nice to see something new from her. It is a risk, though, because the pros constantly say that samba is the worst dance to teach a non-ballroom dancer. And, you know, they're doing 3 dances, and Val, while very good with ballroom and Latin, freestyles aren't really his thing. Like, the only one I remember being particularly good is Sochi's, but again, I haven't watched, like, the earlier seasons, so I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. They could surprise me. But they have 3 dances to learn, or 2 dances to learn, and 1 they're gonna have to prep for, because, like, from the instant challenge last year, they'll make them, like, go over the technique and stuff. So doing a samba is a risk. But again, I'm just sad that we don't get a Whitney and Mark freestyle, but I am so excited to see Jordan's freestyle, because I think she picked the best music, and we also get a paso from her, which is super exciting. I do think the instant dance challenge is going to be crazy. I'm not sure why they decided to include it, but I guess we'll see. It's going to be a long finale. As for my predictions, again, I believe it's going to be Alex versus Robert for the mirror ball, and everybody else is battling for 3rd place. Realistically, would I love to see Elaine win? Yes. Would I love to see Jordan win? Yes. Am I going to vote for them? Probably, because they're my favorites, but it's also like, really, the showdown is between Robert and Alex. Let's just be real. But that's pretty much all I have for you this episode. Sorry this was so late. Next week will be the finale, of course, and I'll do a recap of the entire season in a separate video, which I did for season 33 too. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I love hearing your thoughts in the comments. Again, I only ask that if we disagree or that you feel differently than I do, that we keep things kind. I will not hesitate to block out any negative energy, because social media is toxic enough already. The holiday season is upcoming, so I am going to try to be pumping out a bunch of content, so keep your eyes peeled. After Dancing with the Stars, I'm going to be talking about Nia's book, Bottom of the Pyramid, and I will be starting my full Ninjago binge. But yeah, I'll also be uploading my ranking videos of the contestants of this season to my casual channel. I haven't uploaded Andy's yet, but him and Whitney are next. And with that being said, I will see you all next week for the finale. I'd love to hear your predictions, like prediction versus wish, you know? But yeah, I'd love to hear what y'all think. Bye!